Hey guys, just wanted to do kind of a shadow box showcase kind of series because a lot of the harder to get stuff and stuff that I wanted to kind of really put beside something, put in a shadow box. It's nice and compact, but for a few of the real special ones. So this one I always call like the obscure limit because the birds you're looking at in here, I shot all within about an hour 15 radius of my house here in South Texas. And so I'm assuming like around the Gulf Coast. Obviously, you guys away from the Gulf Coast, it's going to differ because you're not going to be able to get clapper unless you're at the coast, and purple gallinal unless you're further south. And anyway, but that's my, you know. Um, and what's so cool is like these birds, they're in the Texas Almanac for seasons. Clapper and king rail, 15 a day, and these seasons, and then soar in Virginia, and woodcock and snipe, and nobody ever really knows what they are, and they're always scared to shoot a shorebird. So I normally end up either going with them and showing them what because once you see a rail and just how secretive they are and how they flush, then you'll never make the mistake again because all four fly the same way, and they all four generally share that kind of very very secretive, very don't want to fly unless last resort. Never catch them in the open. Never catch them in large groups. It's generally going to be a single, maybe a double. But anyway, so this one has always got the most questions because people see it and they just have no idea what to even think about it. Um, so years back, when I first started on the quest to kind of get on the rail, I hunted, got my king and clapper around here, and then the Soras, I was getting a bunch of juvies, and finally got me a big Smurf head. But this one had a big black stripe that went all the way down, which is real uncommon, which is why he's in the case. Um, the Virginia was like, man, I tried for like 9 years. I went all over the place, just all different habitats. I mean, tore myself up looking for it, and wouldn't you know it, there's one little WMA, which is wildlife management area, in the very Goldilocks between brackish habitat, freshwater habitat with enough salt, and for whatever reason, a decent numbers there. Finally got them after 9 years, completed my rail, and honestly, I've probably been rail hunting more since, just trying to help people get rail because, like I said, nobody knows what to do, and they start to see this, cool kind of compilation, and so then it's like, all right, man, I'll go out and beat myself up some more. But so we got the Virginia there, which is very cool, rufous wings, nice gray, purplish on the head. Of course, the blue Smurf Sora. Got the clapper, and then you got the king next to it. Biggest difference is size, and the king is more rufous overall in color. You can kind of see that there. The one on the right is a little more rufous. A clapper, his back feathers will have dark surrounded by a light gray or a grayish. A king will be dark surrounded by a light brown to a tan. So it's hard to tell. Normally, when they're side by side, you could really see the difference. You can kind of see it here. Obviously, in real life, it's not that much different, but different enough. Um, Let me see. So the king and clapper, the big ones, 15 a day. Um, and then I've got my common gallinal here, and I shot. My son and I took an alligator trip. Buddy had a place that he had gotten two tags through a quote on it because he owned the property there. It's private, so Parks and Wildlife were giving him tags, and so he had two extra or whatever, and so we went up there and did that. And while we were there, I started hearing common gallinal all over at night while we were baiting, and I'm like, dang man, you got a lot of common gallinal. And he's like, oh, I don't know what they are. It looks some funky coot. And I'm like, yeah, man, let's check it out. Well, then the next morning, after the gators are done, we get the shotguns, and those suckers were everywhere. And they're 15 a day. And so I actually got 3-man limit. My son, his son, and me we had 44, and then this young purple gallinal came fleshing out, and that made 45. And what was so cool was that Um, I really didn't want a mature one in there because if you see it from here, a mature one would have really just overshadowed them all and made them look drab. And I wanted the species in there for the completion of the whole kind of gimmick, but I didn't want them. I didn't want something in there that was gonna kind of make the other ones just look like hens or something. It'd be like putting a big old wood duck drake in with a bunch of mallard hens or something. So I thought it worked out perfect. It's still got enough color. You can tell what it is, um, but it certainly vibes more with what's around it. So I thought that was a perfect setup. It's certainly not like this big bright blue guy up here, a full adult. But again, like I said, I think it would have been worse for it. Um, then we got the woodcock, which is, they're here in Texas. A lot of people don't even know that. That's another one. Um, but if you have the bigger trees, especially around lakes that have kind of that muggy bottom with leaf foliage in there, good place for worms where it's kind of wet but not muddy, so they could kind of probe around. Um, they hold still, and you just kind of have to be in an area that maybe it's a place you duck hunt and just kind of keep your eyes peeled. And every once in a while, you'll stop and it'll freak them out and they'll flush. They normally just flush, maybe 60 yards, 50 yards and stop. Run over there, and now you're ready. And of course, hitting him once he comes up because they, zoom, 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 zigzag back. But, they normally don't flush too far. They give you a couple of shot opportunities before they finally say, hey, screw this crap, I'm done. This snipe was from Kingsville on a goose hunt, um, which was, just funny. It was during conservation because the snipe season runs to the end of February. And, out there goose hunting, and we see a little pond with some snipe, and I shoot him. I'm like, holy crap, man, this thing is like, he was like twice as big as the other snipe that we got that day. So I figured, what better than to add? And so, both long build, uh, one's kind of, I think, more water, specifically around the water's edge. The other one is kind of more arboreal or in the trees. I guess I don't know about arboreal because that might mean up in the trees, but more dependent on trees, I would say. This one's more dependent on marsh, but both utilizing kind of the same thing. Just like the Virginia and Sora can be freshwater, but they can also do salt. They kind of prefer brackish if given the choice. Clapper is going to be saltwater predominantly. King rail, same thing. You'll find a lot of them up north and fresh, but they do great in salt and brackish. Common gallinule and purple are normally going to be freshwater only, and they're going to be where there's lots of floating vegetation like hyacinth or lily pads or the wild uh, the floating cabbage. I forget the technical name of it, but so it was just kind of cool. I wanted to show it. It's just something neat, and it's not. It's always something that creates some attention. And like I said, between these two, you're allowed 25 a day. Between these two, 15 a day. Between the woodcock and the snipe, you're allowed eight. I'm sorry, three woodcock and eight snipe, so 11. And then between the purple and common, you're allowed 15. So 15, 30, 55, 58, and 8. So 66. So 66 birds a day. And then, of course, if you were just some madman with the best day in your entire life, and you wanted to shoot your 5 mergansers and your 6 ducks and your 20 geese, I mean, why not if you're dreaming, if you're at the point of dreaming. But anyway, so I was just going to start a little bit of a series in between some of the tutorial stuff just to kind of show off some of the stuff. Like I'll be doing, obviously, one. These are some lesser prairie chickens from my last hunt before they went on the threatened species list and stopped hunting. We got chachalaca and white-tipped dove from the valley. We got um, bandtail pigeon and a little spot for mountain quail for some point, but bandtail pigeon, that was cool. mass ducks from actually not far from where they shot the snipe. Um, you know, harlequin, cinnamon, and just all that good stuff. And then obviously a lot more. But so I just want to start doing some of these kind of shadow box showcase, I think I'm gonna call it. And this was a cool one because not a lot of people know about them. That you can hunt them, where they're at, how to hunt them, so on and so on. So I just kind of thought it was a cool story to share. Kind of reminisce a little bit about all the trials and tribulations. And just last thing, like before I even got my first, when I was really kind of going after Sora and the Virginia, I would go out to where this river dumped into the bay, so it'd be brackish, and I'd take 2 1-gallon jugs of water. This would be in September, and because you couldn't wear waders because you sweat so bad, I would just wear blue jeans and crappy pair of shoes and just tons of bug spray. And I would just walk, and I would do everything from shaking cans with rocks in it to try to get them to flush. And I would walk out in that thick, sharp marsh grass, tripping and stumbling the whole way for hours, till lunchtime. Come back, chug about a gallon of water, go back out, and in my average day, I'd probably shoot about 3 rails. I'd shoot like one juvenile sora, a juvenile clapper, and maybe a adult clapper. And I'd hit other spots and other spots. Some days you'd have maybe more sora, this, that. Um, but that's kind of how it was. And I just kept hitting so many spots all over in different, slightly more brackish, slightly more fresh, a little bit different vegetation, a little bit of this, little that. And finally, it just happened. And now I know exactly. I took a buddy to go get a Virginia this season, easy peasy. Um, and it was great. It was a great feeling to be like, hey, this is the hardest one. And just thank God that you didn't have to go through what I did. But and so now I think it makes a beautiful kind of, it's conversation piece, right? There's a ton of memories in here, obviously, but then conversation wise, you've got well more than the 12-minute expedited version that I'm posting here. So anyway, guys, appreciate it. A lot of new subscribers, getting closer and closer to that mark for live feed stuff. And other than that, so please subscribe, like. If you have any comments, just let me know. Like I said, I'm going to start filtering these kind of in just because I think they are pretty cool stories. Please let me know if there's something particular, like, or if you've seen something in one of my pictures or videos were about, hey, what about this bird? Or, but I'm going to be trying to go through because I have quite a few of these to go through. So anyway, that's about it. I'm going to upload this puppy. And then next time, maybe we will look for the now never to be hunted again lesser prairie chicken. So, all right. Bye, guys.